Because we usually talk like, let's do that with AI, this with AI, and then everything is very easy.
But it's mucked up the whole recruitment process because now both sides are using it.
Perhaps there is another skill set in the candidates, this AI nativeness.
I think a lot of that's come from the C-suite, right?
Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to Pharma Talks. Here I want to send you some summer vibes. As Steve says, a guest of our studio today, and I will not keep you long. About a year ago, we had a conversation about AI and pharma talent and how we can really be useful in AI era, how we are not losing our jobs, how we are progressing together. And this episode was so much loved by all of you that we decided to repeat it. Hello, Steve. Steve, I will remind you, my colleague Steve is working over the 30 years hiring for you, for pharma, for biotech, helping, researching, working with AI, with talents and beyond. And him, as no one else, can say us what changed about us in this year we haven't spoken. Sure. So, yeah. Steve, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. This is great. And again, I do love the summer vibes. The hat is awesome. The background, it's all great. This is perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Steve, we haven't been speaking about a year. How your pipeline look like today? So are those conversations we have had in the past fundamentally changed?
I'd say that they have really. In the last year, what I've seen a lot of, so it's been a very busy year. Let me start with that. And my theory was the reason why it got busy was because of AI, but not why you would think, because managers started coming to me and saying, we're writing our descriptions with AI, and candidates are doing the same. They're writing their resumes with AI to match those descriptions. And then our recruitment team internally, who's trying to streamline their what they do and possibly eliminate some roles, is also using AI to screen the resumes. So hiring managers are coming to me saying, we put something out there. We literally will get 300 resumes. They all look beautiful. They look great. They're perfect. I interview folks. They can't tell me what I need to hear, what's on the resume. So what's going on is, essentially AI is checking its own homework right now. So it's creating the descriptions, it's creating the resumes, because, if a company's using AI to write their description, what's a candidate going to do? Use AI to write their resume. And sometimes AI is going to change things a little bit, maybe more than the candidate knows before it sends the resume out. So it's keeping them kind of on their heels. So they're coming to me and saying, listen, you've been doing this almost 30 years. Find me people that are real. Find me who really does this kind of work. So that's what's been keeping me busy. It's because managers have come to me and said, before we got you involved, we were getting all the same stuff and nobody was able to justify what was on the resume. So here we are,
You know what you are saying. So AI is so smart today that it can really write a resume. It can write a description and match this resume up to description, but it cannot do the work, right? So still the job is to be done by real people, and real people to be the experts in where we expect them, right? And
right.
This is where we have a gap.
Correct. They were leaning on AI to, replace or almost replace, not quite, heavily supplement a function, which is the recruitment process. And it's not working great, right now, because, the candidates are basically fighting fire with fire. If my resume is going to get screened by AI, let me let AI write it so I get by AI and I get a conversation. But then when they get the conversation, it's like, well, not really. You don't have those skills. And I hear that a lot from these hiring managers. I've always said that I believe that the internal recruiters are at an advantage to us on the outside. And why do I say that? throughout at the beginning of the process with a candidate, you have to identify a candidate. So we got to go through and figure out who's got the skills, right? We network, we use LinkedIn, whatever we use. Then we have to qualify them, right? Talk to them about what they want, what they need, That's where it gets slippery right there, because then the third part of the process is attracting them to your opportunity, right? So attract them to your company, tell them about your role and your position. When I do the identification and I do the qualification, I really dive into, what are you looking for? What do you want? What do you need? What's your compensation like? Before they know about the job that I'm calling them on, right? I want to understand what their drivers are. I want to understand what they want and what they need, because I've already had a conversation with the hiring manager. So I'm trying to line up drivers, which is going to create a long-term match between an organization and an individual. The companies are at a disadvantage because the candidates have already seen what company the role's with and the description. So they can sculpt their answers when they're talking to somebody to what they think that person wants to hear. AI kind of takes it to another level. AI sculpting the resume so they're sculpting now. Now, we used to have a problem with the attraction piece. Once they see a description, once they see the description, know the company name. We've backed this all the way up to the identification stage. AI is sculpting the resume once it sees the description to fit the description, right? So now, when we're out trying to quote unquote identify folks, right? Or when a company's trying to identify folks, the resume is already tailored to their description and to the company. So the identification process is already, now that's thrown in the wood chipper, So it's really, really difficult for the organizations with their need or their usage of AI to find the right person, because the candidates are doing the same. They're using AI to sculpt how they look to the organization before the organization even tries to identify. Again, identification, qualification, attraction. But if they're already, I don't want to say falsifying, but changing things at the identification process, the next two pieces, qualification and attraction, they're already done. They're already out the window, So, and the HR person who has limited time because they're working on all these other things really doesn't have time to go through all this and deal with all this. It just makes their job that much harder.
Exactly. That means we always want to speak about what is helping us, right? So we're always speaking about these, acceleration, how we can do things faster, so how can we scope all this description faster. But in fact, when we sacrifice this, our human intelligence for speed of AI, scripting us all of that very fast and giving it up into the air, we attract the same response, AI driven, right? And then there is no goal, because you cannot identify there is a real human to talk to, even, right? Because you can endlessly go into the interviews. There is even no, close match to whom you need, right? So that's something. Does it seem that we need very carefully to talk about what exactly we need to simplify with AI, what exactly we need to accelerate with AI, where we shouldn't maybe replace a human? So what do you think? Yes, we usually talk let's do that with AI, this with AI, and then everything is very easy.
So they're going to keep trying, right? Which I get. I mean, and we all should keep trying. We got to keep using AI, and we got to see, where we can plug it in, where it's going to make us, the human in the loop, where it's going to make those bionic employees. And, whether it's research and development, whether it's the sales process, whether it's recruitment, whether it's supply chain, whether it's ERP, whatever it is, we need to use AI to make us better, faster, smarter. But it's mucked up the whole recruitment process because now both sides are using it, with, with, with science, right? Or with clinical data or whatever, both sides aren't using it. One side's using it to collate the data. Right now, it's, in the recruitment thing, it's kind of AI fighting AI, and it's not helping anybody,
Exactly. And that means how can we really identify and validate the person over there who we are looking? Is if we are giving the tasks to fulfill, or just to stop losing time on the interviews, on shallow interviews, just to make sure there is some real task. Shall we not produce the task with AI, so to make sure that another AI will be not able completely 100% to complete that task for us? So because this is also a big a trade, how we validate without actually talking to the real person. So
Yeah, well, it's very, very tough to do. You got to talk to somebody to really understand who they are, what they do, and will they fit with my organization. If you have hard skills, whether it's a developer or whatever, you can see those terms on a resume. So AI can help you find that, right? Assuming, big assumption, that the individual or the AI that wrote this person's resume isn't lying about their skill sets, right? Because it could hallucinate, it could change things. The individual may not even have known that their resume went to that place because it might recreate the resume and then send it out automatically without them knowing. But I mean, so if there's some keywords that are really, unique to that role, great. That could work, right? And if you only want a technical person, but if you want a person that that fits into your team and your culture, if it's a small team, because I deal a lot with small teams, right? I deal a lot with companies that are small biotechs, 50, 250 people, so they need folks that really fit in with them, and they get very, very specific as to someone straddling the line between the business side and between the technology side. That's really tough to see on a resume, even if you are trained, so
yeah, exactly. But there is one point I wanted to ask you. What do you think about AI native people, right? And perhaps there is another skill set in the candidates, this AI nativeness. So how do we treat that? Because this is definitely kind of skill which is bringing this efficiency to every organization. Like I'm saying this because in our organization, like while we are developing something, we have a traditional approach. Why there are teams of people, young people usually, which were not trained on the original approach of software development. They were starting like develop with AI from scratch. They're the only way, and we call them like AI native developers.
right.
So what
No, I
is
get that.
your take on that, right?
Well, so I know a bunch of people that do that. One of my kids is one of them, right? But you still need to know how to code, right? Because it can't complete the task. You have to do a code review to make sure that it's not hallucinating or it's not changing something, right? So it seems to me that the coders or the developers that are best at utilizing this already knew how to code. Like I used to tell my daughter, before you use a calculator, you need to know what the calculations are being done underneath, right? So same thing with AI native or AI coding, right? This individual will talk to the business, understand what the business wants, then understand what your technical architecture looks like. Then let's Claude or whatever do their programming. They got to do the code review to make sure that it's right, bring it back to the business. Is this what you want? Is this what we're doing? This will fit in with our technical architecture. And then they can, redo it from there. Just doing that, somebody will save 2-3 hours a day, which is huge, so that's kind of the bionic employee that I'm talking about, and again, it's still the person in the middle. And AI is not doing all the work. You can't just blindly trust it. I was reading something the other day where it was telling the article I was reading was talking about how some of these AI models were even doing basic math problems wrong, which is like, oh, geez, really? So, you know, if you can't trust with that, I'm sure, and I'm not a coder, so I'm not even going to pretend to be a coder. But, if you can't trust with that, you probably should be doing code review, I would think, to make sure that it's hitting the point you need it to hit, right? So I think it's great. I think it's going to help them, the coders get things done faster, but a lot of the coders, in my opinion, at least here, were some of the lowest paid ones anyway, because we were offshoring a lot of that. So what are we doing? What are we saving? So
Yeah, that's exactly. But like being back to pharma and the biotech, like a lot of mainstream today, we are uh, pressing AI with the task to generate the messaging, to generate the content, to make things faster, to make things more efficient. And here, like I hear you, because the human in the loop in our industry means like not only efficiency but also effectiveness, right? So
Mhm.
this, we could be as fast as the AI can generate entire message, but will this message affect like people thinking, people behavior? Will be we heard through this message? This is only with the human intelligence, you can say, right? So, and then being back to this hiring process, right? AI nativeness, bionic employees are very important. This is a hot potatoes right now.
It is.
However, yeah, it's true. However, how do not exactly lose this angle and get this human place in this AI world? So what is your thought about where we are humans right now, 1 year past,
Well, so I
where we
think
are?
we're trying our best to replace as many humans as we can with AI. At least we're talking about it, right? Um, is it going to get better, faster, smarter AI? Absolutely. Right now, the ones that are winning, the people that are winning, the tasks that are winning are, like you just said, the ones that are supplementing what they do with AI and make them better, faster, smarter. And like I mentioned, the bionic employee, um, totally relying on it, you still gotta take a look. You still gotta make sure that it's doing what you need it to do. So again, AI is great. It's going to continue to be great. It's going to get better and better and better every day, every year, every week, every month, and it's still an awesome tool. um I think we got in front of ourselves a little bit trying to rely on it too much. I think a lot of that, I've been talking to a lot of folks about this. I think a lot of that's come from the C-suite, right? The CEOs, CFOs, COOs, where they read about it, or they hear about it at their whatever, their parties or their country clubs, where hey, my buddy just replaced his whole accounting department or whatever, and probably didn't. Your buddy probably just told you that. But these IT guys are telling me that the CEO, CFO, and COOs are coming to them and saying, we need AI and we need it on Thursday. It's Monday. We need it Thursday. And they're like, wait, what? We can't do it that fast. We got data we got to get through. We have processes we have to get through. We have a lot of things we have to do. So they're moving on it. They're moving fast, but they have to figure out why they're moving. Again, another story or another incident I had was a gentleman in a biotech was telling me that they're heading out, they're going on their AI journey, right? And his CEO comes to him and says, "You have 8 headcount for AI." He's like, "Well, great, very cool. So, what are we solving for? What are we doing?" And the CEO's like, "What do you mean? Just get AI going." He goes, "Well, we need to solve something, right? We need to have a task. We need to have a problem that we're fixing." And he said, "Well, why can't you just build an 8-person AI team?" And he said, "Well, if I know what I'm solving for, that's going to dictate who I'm hiring and what I'm." And the CEO's like, "Well, I don't know." So, we kind of have at the C-suite, in my opinion, a misconception that we just get AI going and it's going to solve everything. And IT spend a lot of time doing this. Let's talk about AI for business sake, not AI for technology sake, all right? So, it seems like the C-suite is doing, they're kind of reversing the script. They're kind of talking about technology for technology's sake right now and not technology for business sake. So, you know, we gotta dial it back a little bit. But IT's not used to taking control of the conversation. They usually don't. They usually take their lead from the business, and when the business goes off the rails like this, in certain instances, that can lead to an issue for them, right? Honestly, when I talk to some of these IT folks, they tell me that a lot of what people want inside their companies, half of what they want is not even AI. Like a lot of it's just automation and things, and they just say, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that's AI." You know?
So, Steve, so my favorite section right now, hot or not. So if you agree with statement, you say hot. If you completely disagree, you say not. If you feel like to add something about the statement, please go ahead.
Well, you know
So,
me, I always
dep-
add something, so you're not going to get away without a comment from me. Usually. So
excellent. So are you ready?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, the first one. Pharma companies that didn't invest in AI talent by 2027 have already lost the race.
Not. I will add to that. I don't think that I think they're playing with it. A lot of them are playing with it. Investing in talent to me is a big, big word where they spent a lot of money on it. So I can tell you, I mean, I can just keep going through stories where sometimes the CEO wants it, sometimes IT wants it, sometimes the board of directors wants it, sometimes the CEO and the board of directors are going at it where they can't agree who someone wants it, someone doesn't. So, there are a bunch that haven't invested in it, and I don't believe that they've lost the race. Now, I do believe that lots of the ones that haven't invested in it are playing with it. They're dabbling with it. They're letting their people use it. Like you mentioned earlier, getting curious, be curious about it and think about it and continue to beat it up, so that you know what it can do and get more comfortable and familiar with it, because the ones that are running from it are scared of it because they don't know what it is. So let's all figure out what it is, because it's here to stay and it's going to be big. It's going to be big. So I don't think they've lost.
Exactly. And it is big already. Look how many different tasks during the day we can perform, and compare myself, 2 years back. These tasks I'm doing in one day, I would spend a week, right? And today I have just different tracks. My AI is answering which invitation I by default accept in my
Yeah.
calendar.
Yeah.
There are
Exactly.
the tricks we are all
Yeah.
using. But that's,
Yeah.
it's here to stay. That's true.
Yeah.
The second one, be
Okay.
ready. The Chief AI Officer. Chief AI Officer, imagine that. This title is mostly a PR move, and the real power is still with CIO, Chief Information Officer.
I think not. And here's why. I think that the CIO or the head of IT still has more of the sway, internally, politically, and technically. But the chief AI officer, if a company has one, is quickly gaining on that CIO. So some of those CIOs are bringing in chief AI officers. Some of those CIOs are chief AI officers. And it all centers around what the board of directors and what the CEO wants to do. I know that lots of the times, even the head of IT reports to, a CFO, sometimes the head of HR. There are some now that are reporting to the CEOs, and those are the ones that need to be AI centric, going forward, because that's why they're reporting to the CEO. The CEO wants to make sure that they take advantage of AI and make their organization better, faster, and smarter. So
That's an interesting position, this Chief AI Officer.
yeah.
So in the past, we had a Chief Growth Officer. So could be synonyms, right? So Chief AI Officer, Chief Growth Officer
Well,
these days.
sometimes what they're doing with this head of AI, most of those folks have come out of a data and analytics background. So that's what they've done. Um, they've been the data and analytics lead, and then they become the head of AI. That's a lot of what it is. So there's a
Yeah.
position right now that companies aren't looking for, and I've been stockpiling some of these candidates. Traditionally, there's been this IT business partner who works in different functions, right? So for commercial, for R&D, for clinical, for whatever it is, they're the bridge between IT and the business. So they can sit with business and speak business and help them develop their strategy and not talk IT at all. And then it can sit with the IT folks and help them build what business talked about they need, right? As they sat at the strategy table with business. So these companies, all these CIOs now are talking to me about how they need somebody to bridge that gap, and that's going to be the AI business partner.
The next one, remote first pharma teams are actually more innovative than in-house ones.
Not. I
You
think they
know
can. You
that.
can get better. You can get better qualified people if you go remote, right? But I don't know that they're better altogether, more innovative.
The next one, pharma will never compete with big tech for top AI talent, and it shouldn't even try.
I agree. Aha. Yes, I agree. They shouldn't. That's not theirs. They're not technology companies. They're biotech and pharma.
The next one, the next big talent wave in pharma won't come from tech. It will come from healthcare itself.
Oh boy, that's a tough. I'm gonna say not. I think tech will be driving it. I really do. It's driving it now, and it's going to continue to drive it. I think you see that too with your business.
Exactly. We are all becoming techies, right? We are
We
all
have to.
creating all the time, and we have to. It's a part of evolution. My
is.
dear Pharma Network listeners, thank you so much for being with us. So today, after a year gap with Steve, we discussed kind of how we evolved for this year, how our thinking evolved. Steve, this is exactly the kind of conversation I was expecting from you.
Was a
I
good
really
conversation.
loved our
And I
conversation.
love the hat. The hat's
right?
awesome. Great touch.
Yeah, thank you. This is a summer vibe. That's like, it's a crime to work on summers. That's why Pharma Talks on summer, they do have these special summer vibes. So for everyone listening to us, you can follow us on every podcast platform you are using, subscribe, share every question you have on how to hire, how to recruit, how to get a job in AI era, in biotech and pharma. Call, contact Steve, contact myself, listen to us. We are gathering your questions and we will be back. Steve?
Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.